this is Neferkefri, the Positive Vibes Artist. I welcome you to my channel. And a quick apology to my subscribers. I have not posted in months because my health has kind of been doing this. And I just wasn't feeling up to it. It's easy to record a video. It's quite another thing to edit it and then to go through the process of uploading it and all that stuff. And I just didn't have it in me. But I am back. And I'm going to be posting regularly. My goal is to post once a week, most likely on Wednesdays. And right now, what I want to talk about is what's coming up, which is the month of October. It is currently September the 16th, 2023, as I film this. And my favorite month of the year is October. And way back in 2021, I started this journal dedicated to the month of October. And I worked in it quite a bit in 2021. I almost finished it. I didn't quite finish it, but I'm going to give you a flip through of what I did. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to go in and I'm going to show you how I developed my palette for my fine liners, mild liners, sign touch pens, gel pens, so I would know exactly what colors I was going to be using in this journal. But for now, I'm going to take you through a flip through of what I've already done in here. I think I made it up to like the 26th. Yeah, made it up to the 26th. So I'm going to show you what I have. And the neat thing about journals is, people think, oh, if I don't finish it by the time the date the journal is meant to cover, then I failed. No, just go back and continue working in it. That's what I do. Like I said, I started this in 2021, but it is all about October, my favorite month. That has not changed. October has been my favorite month since I was itty bitty. And so I'm just going to go back and complete the journal as my homage to my favorite month and all the things about October that make it my favorite month. So it's no big deal that I started this in 2021 and I'm going to finish it in 2023. So what I did here, I originally was not a collage artist. I had a very hard time deciding where to put all this stuff, and I touch on that briefly later on in the video. But now that I am a collage artist, I look at this and I'm just like, ew. But this was my first attempt. I kind of overdid it, but there you go. That's what happens when you have a lot of cool ephemera. And the calendar I did straight lines with a ruler first, and then I went through with my mild liners freehand because I wanted it to have kind of a wonky look to it. And then what October means to me: going within, relaxation, comfort food, cooler temps. I'm in Houston, Texas, and it's hot most of the year here. Memories, calm, ancestors, pumpkins, and magic with a K that differentiates it from stage magic. And, I just said what else I love about it. Pumpkin carving, witchcraft becomes the norm. Pumpkin spice, colorful leaves. People start to believe in magic. Magic makes the world go round. And then I journaled some in it, and I'll finish this page this year. But I just wanted to flip through and show you. And these are all bits of ephemera I've collected from various places and various artists over the years. And I just kind of went through all my stuff and pulled out everything that looked like fall to me that I wanted to use in this journal. And then I used it. This is a rubber stamp. I've had this rubber stamp for like over 25 years. It's one of my favorites. And then here I did a silhouette of a cat and what my wishes were for the new moon. That was, in that year, was on October the 7th. And here's just another of an attempt at a collage. Again, I'm not too crazy about it, but it is what it is. I was just starting to do collages then. And this is, what I did for October. Now, later on in the video, I'm going to show you how I developed my palette for my pens. I did deviate from it once in a while because I use purple, because purple's my favorite color. But I mainly stuck to my palette. And when I go back in and journal, I will pull out those pens again and do the rest of the journaling in the colors that I chose for this journal. This is really old washi tape. I bought it at Michael's, and this washi tape is like literally 20 years old. Still works. And this was a packet of Halloween ephemera. I bought at Michael's a couple years ago. I think the year I started this journal in 2021. This was going to be my spread on the full moon, which I didn't do yet. I'll finish it this year. Edgar Allan Poe, one of my favorite authors. This is all from Little Joys of Bujo. She's on Etsy. She may still be on hiatus right now. I don't know. I will link to her below. She and her family recently moved into a new home, so she's really had her hands full. And this is Little Joys of Bujo again. And here and here. Now what I'm going to do in this section, I go ahead when I do a journal like this, it's going to be thematic and it's not going to be, you know, a very long journal. I will go through and choose all the ephemera first, and it saves so much time, because then when you're actually putting stuff in the journal, you don't have all the paper out that you're going to cut up. It's already been cut up. It's ready to put in and to organize. So that's what I've done here. And like I've taken like my favorite horror actors that I'm going to pay homage to. Like here's Christopher Lee in his quintessential role as Dracula, and here he is with Peter Cushing. They did a number of movies together, including Dracula. Here's Peter again. Vincent Price, who is my favorite out of all of them. He had so much class, and no one had a voice like him. No one. And his family, his father was born in Waukegan, Illinois, which is my hometown. And Vincent had a pair of spinster aunts who lived in my hometown. They lived in a big white house right behind the public library. And he would come visit them like every summer. And one summer, my mom was downtown driving around, and I was in the back seat with my aunt, and I was only 2 at the time. And we were stopped at a red light. Of course, I don't remember this at all. I was only 2. I wish I remembered it. And it was summer, you know, so everyone had their windows open. And I don't even think back then, I'm pretty sure our car did not have air conditioning. And this would have been like in 1965, maybe 1966. I was born in 63. And she heard this man laughing, and the laugh kind of sounded familiar. And she turned to look in the next lane, and there's a red convertible there with a blonde woman, and Vincent Price was in the driver's seat laughing. And my mom was extremely impressionable, and she was really, really scared of the old-timey horror movies that we tend to laugh at these days. She started screaming at the top of her lungs. And I'm in the back seat. I'm hearing my mom scream for the first time ever in my life, and the only time. I started screaming. My aunt was like, "What's the matter? What's the matter?" And Vincent Price looked over in our car, and he just threw back his head and, according to my mom, laughed the most evil laugh she had ever heard in her life. And that was my first exposure to Vincent Price, but of course I was unaware. Really wish I could remember that. Such a great story. Here's The Mummy with Boris Karloff, which in my opinion is still the best of all the Mummy movies. And this movie actually inspired me to study archaeology in college, and I went ahead and got a doctorate in anthropology and Latin American studies from the University of Texas at Austin, and then could not do anything with it because my field was too narrow. I was specializing in Mayan hieroglyphic writing, and that's a whole other story. Here's going to be a spread on my favorite horror author, Stephen King. Here's some more Peter, who somehow got separated from Christopher. And then my favorite thing about Halloween, you know, taffy apples. I don't know what we call these, popcorn balls. And a little old lady used to live across the street from me growing up, and her name was B. Paulson. And Mrs. Paulson, as I always called her, would make these humongous caramel popcorn balls for all the neighborhood kids. And we'd go to her house, and I mean, they were like this big. They were the size of a softball. They were so huge. They were so good. We'd always go there to get one. And she would tell me jokingly that she was a real witch. And she would say to me, do you know all real witches, when they die? And I'm like, no, when? And she goes, on Halloween. And, you know, and then she'd give a little cackle like a witch would, you know, and we go about the rest of the conversation. Well, she got sick, and I want to say it was like around the 26th, 27th of October, and she went into the hospital, and by then she was like about 84. And I was away at college at the time. So I'm sorry I was not able to say goodbye to her. She was such a dear friend of mine. And my dad called me on Halloween to say she had passed away. And I'm like, she didn't die today, did she? And he goes, yeah, she died a few hours ago. And I was like, oh my God. She told me she was going to die on Halloween, and she did. So interesting little story there too. So now I'm going to go in and show you how I chose my fall palette. I used it in this journal, and I used it in a couple of other ones I did for fall that I'm not showing in this video because they're more personal stuff. But I thought you'd like to see how I picked out the markers and the fine liners and all that. So the rest of the video will be that. And I thank you for watching. This is going to be dedicated to the month of October, and I plan to fill it up every single page. And I've already started. I worked on this last night. I am not a collager, and so this took me like over an hour because I kept moving the pieces around before I glued them down, and I think I rearranged this thing probably about 45 times. I'm not even kidding. Then this I did second, and I just was like, oh, to hell with it. And there we go, it's done. So yeah, this is my opening page. And this is going to be my calendar for October. And what I did is I drew in the pencil lines first with a ruler, and then I went over it freehand with my mild liners, because I wanted it to have a slightly wonky look, but I wanted the guide of the straight lines so I wouldn't go, you know, because I tend to do that anyhow. And so I'm going to work on that. But what I was doing and what I want to talk about today is organizing your color palette ahead of time for your pens. Now, don't freak out. I do have a massive pen collection. I have been an artist my entire life, literally since the age of 2 when I could hold a crayon. Not that you would call a 2-year-old an artist, but all these I've collected over years. Like my one set of my Pentel Sign Touch pens are literally like 10 years old, and a couple of them I've had to throw out today because they dried out. My gel pens, let's see, where are they at? Here's one. These are like 10 years old. So, you know, it's not like I went out and bought this all in a week or something. I've collected them over years. So what I decided to do was to go through my entire pen collection of the size nibs I want to use in this journal, because remember, it's smaller pages. So I didn't look at my Tombos or at my Karen markers because the nibs are much larger and I don't want to use up so much space in lettering. I may in a couple of the pages, we'll see. But I took all my smaller nibbed pens and I've arranged them in chromatic order from black to light. And how I did that is I just scribbled. And so I like right here are the mild liners. So I just scribbled those out first, and then around the mild liners, I arranged all the other colors. And so once I scribbled it out and got them in rough order, I then turned the scrap paper over. Here are the mild liners. Here are the Jelly Roll glitters. Here are the Mono Twins. These are the Sarasa Clip and other brand of clip gel pens. The Sarasa Porous pen, which is just a fine liner marker. Then you have the Pentel Touch up here, and up here would be the Right Tick. These are really nice, by the way. If you've been thinking about getting them, they are really, really nice pens. I like the colors, and I just realized today in swatching them that the set of 10 that this comes in, and they've got basically the same point as the Pentel Touch, but I don't know, I just like the colors better, and I like the way that they write better. I just realized their set of 10 pens, half of the pens are like jewel tone fall type shades, and the other half appear to be lighter, brighter spring shades. So I thought that was kind of cool. So I've got these last 3 that I'm going to fit into my system here, and so I'm going to show you how I do that. So again, since I'm at the tail end here, I'm not going to scribble it on this side. I'm going to go over here, because now that I've got a much better idea of where the colors go, I can pretty much glance down and figure out roughly about what, where each one of these colors is going to fit. And so let me just move my camera a little bit. And here we go. This is kind of a peachy color according to the cap. So it's about here. So it's really close to the orange mild liner. It's a little bit lighter than the orange mild liner. So then I go back to my markers here. That orange mild liner is here. So I'll go ahead and put this to the left, because I'm going basically in each shade of color from light to dark, except for the grays. I always do the grays opposite. I don't know why. I always go from dark to light in the grays. So that one's fit in. And then there's this color. They do not have the color names on here, but it's kind of an olive brown color. So it's going to go probably, let's see, let me zoom in again. Okay, it's probably going to go about right here. No, it's darker. You see, that's why it's good to do little swatches. It's almost a brown gray. So I'm going to put this at the tail end of my browns, on the dark end of my browns. So I just have to shift all my pens down. And you'll see here are the dark browns before I go into the grays. I'll pop that there. And then we have this yellow. It's actually a really, really pretty yellow. I like this shade of yellow. And it's gonna probably go right around in here. And it's looking kind of orangey. I think I was doing some blending with it. It's not as dark as that. I don't know what happened. That's interesting. Maybe I just thought it was lighter than what it was. So it's kind of an orange. So it's going to go, if we go back and look at the mild liners, because I've framed everything around the mild liners. Here we have the orange, the lighter orange, and this Right Tech is slightly darker, not by much. So I'm just going to go ahead and put it to the right of the first orange mild liner, which is this one. And that completes my color palette for fall. And so here it is again. And I'll be using all these in this journal. And I've already gone through with the calendar and did the line work here with mild liners. So there we are. So if you're wanting to do that, if you're wanting to arrange your brush pens and your fine tips and all that, your gel pens, your glitter pens, in a chromatic sequence, this is an easy way to do it. This, with this amount of pens, it probably, I mean, I was doing it while watching art videos on YouTube, so I'm not quite sure how long it took me. I want to say it probably took me about 2 hours, but if I wasn't watching any videos, it probably would have taken me an hour. Okay, just to give you an idea. So that's it, and I hope that you found this video useful. If you did, please give it a like and drop me a comment. Let me know if you're going to try this out. Y'all take care and have a beautiful fall season. I'll catch you all later.